Welcome to Daily News Simplified, an answer to what, why, and how of newspaper reading. Today, we're going to discuss important issues appearing in the Hindu newspaper dated 31st May 2018. Let's begin. In the editorial section, the news appears on page number 8. The news reads, Paper Chase. The Election Commission must review the use of paper trail machines in the polling process. Now, this editorial pertains to the glitches encountered during the recent by-election for Lok Sabha, which led to repoll in some of the areas. And this repolling, due to malfunctioning of VVPAT machines, has become a talking point regarding conduct of elections in India. So, this conduct of election is very important. As you can see, questions appeared in the year 2017, specifically pertaining to election. As far as the syllabus is concerned, in your prelims examination, it comes within Indian polity and governance, as well as political system. As well as in the mains examination, it comes within GS paper 2, specifically under features of Indian constitutions, as well as salient features of representation of People's Act. As you can read this particular question, it says, considering the recent glitches in the use of VVPAT, discuss the role of Election Commission in ensuring a smooth, fair and transparent elections in India. So in this regard, let us understand what the problem occurred and what are the key challenges for the conduct of smooth, fair and transparent elections in India using VVPAT in times to come. As we have already seen, the malfunctioning of VVPAT led to the repolling in some of the booths in the recent held by-poll. So in this regard, let us understand certain facts about VVPAT. In a PIL filed in the year 2013, Supreme Court directed the Election Commission of India to introduce VVPAT in a phased manner. Thus, accordingly, Election Commission of India started using VVPAT at selected constituencies for elections to state assemblies and also for the parliament election for 2014. And Election Commission of India has also confirmed that VVPAT shall be used in all the parliamentary constituencies for the conduct of elections to Lok Sabha in the year 2019. So, we know that VVPAT machines shall be used in all the parliamentary constituencies. So, in this regard, malfunctioning of VVPAT becomes a serious issue. Regarding the recent glitch which happened in the by-poll, the Election Commission of India has suggested that these machines were more prone to malfunctioning due to sensitivity to extreme weather conditions and exposure to sunlight. Further, the Election Commission also blamed the relative inexperience of polling officials in handling the VVPAT as compared to the earlier ballot process. So in this regard, we understand that sensitivity of VVPAT to extreme weather conditions and exposure to sunlight can become one of the key challenges in conducting upcoming state assembly as well as Lok Sabha elections. So let us understand certain key challenges which the Election Commission might encounter in the conduct of upcoming state assembly as well as Lok Sabha election. So one of the major key challenge as mentioned is the upcoming state assembly elections as well as the Lok Sabha election in the year 2019. In this regard, the Technical Committee of the Election Commission of India is now faced with a challenge to ensure that VVPAT machines do not malfunction, because malfunctioning of VVPAT machines can lead to disruption of the entire election process. The next challenge is that state assemblies and Lok Sabha elections are conducted on a much larger scale as compared to any by-elections, because in a by-election, election is conducted to 1, 2 or at the max 4 or 5 by-election in different states, whereas in any state assembly election as well as in the Lok Sabha elections, elections are conducted on a much larger canvas or a much larger scale. Hence, malfunctioning on such a larger scale can further lead to more disruption and chaos in the conduct of election, and these malfunctioning will definitely pose a much stiffer challenge for the Election Commission of India to conduct elections at various booths. In this regard, the Election Commission should ensure that there is no technical failure, as repolling is a strenuous exercise and is definitely a burden on the government expenses. Another significant challenge for the Election Commission is that Lok Sabha elections will be held in the summer month of April and May, where we can find extreme weather conditions in different parts of the country. Thus, in this regard, the Election Commission must ensure the working condition of VVPAT and ensure that there is no, or as far as possible, there is very less technical failure of these VVPAT or even the EVM machine. This is important because as per the Election Commission, the recent glitch may have been due to sensitivity to the extreme weather conditions, and in the months of April and May of 2019, the temperatures in the country would soar. So, smooth and proper functioning of these EVM and VVPAT machines is a necessary ingredient for the conduct of free, fair, and transparent elections in India. In this regard, let us also understand when is a by-election held for Lok Sabha. Section 149 of the Representation of Peoples Act 1951 provides for by-election in case of casual vacancies in the House of People, that is Lok Sabha. It says when the seat of a member elected to the House of People becomes vacant or is declared vacant, or his election to the House of People is declared void, then Election Commission by notification can hold an election to fill the vacancy for such a seat. However, there are certain conditions with respect to holding of a by-election for Lok Sabha. Let us see those conditions. It says that by-elections to fill the vacancy shall be held within a period of 6 months from the date of occurrence of such vacancy. However, by-election shall not be held if less than 1 year remains for the conduct of next general elections. For example, let's suppose if election is to be held in December 2018 and vacancy arose in February 2018, then by-election shall not be held. Next, it says if the Election Commission in consultation with central government certifies that it is difficult to hold the by-election within 6 months. In this news, we saw that due to certain extreme weather conditions and also due to inexperience of election officials to hold election process, there was certain glitch during the conduct of election in the recent by-poll. And we also saw certain key challenges regarding the conduct of elections. In this regard, let us see these two questions asked in the year 2017. It said, consider the following statements. The Election Commission of India is a 5-member body. No, this statement is not correct. The Constitution of India says that there shall be a Chief Election Commissioner and such other number of election commissioner as the President may decide. It then says, Union Ministry of Home Affairs decides the election schedule for the conduct of both general elections and by-elections. No, it is decided by the Election Commission. As we have already studied about Section 149 of Representation of People Act. Then it reads, Election Commission resolves the disputes relating to split mergers of recognized political parties. Yes, the statement is correct. So here the correct answer would be 3 only. Now this was a very interesting question asked by UPSC last year. It said, right to vote and to be elected in India is a fundamental right, natural right, constitutional right and legal right. Now the answer by UPSC has come out. With regard to this particular question, there was a confusion between constitutional right or legal right. As per the key provided by UPSC, the correct answer in this regard is constitutional right. So we see that voting becomes an important aspect with respect to our Indian democracy. Hence, this topic of functioning of VVPAT machine becomes extremely crucial for the conduct of Lok Sabha as well as state assembly elections. And again, let's go through this question. It says, considering the recent glitches in the use of VVPAT, discuss the role of Election Commission in ensuring a smooth, fair and transparent elections in India. I'm sure you can use those key points as discussed earlier in your answer writing. With this, let's move on to the next news. The next news appears in the article section on page number 8. The news reads, charting its own path. Why the 20th anniversary of Pokhran nuclear test was so muted this month. In this respect, first let us understand the significance of 11th May. 11th May in India is now celebrated as the National Technology Day and reminds us of Operation Shakti. Operation Shakti was the nuclear test held on 11th May 1998. And because of this, 11th May is now celebrated as National Technology Day. The author in this article suggests the emergence of India as a nuclear weapon state and why the 20th anniversary of Pokhran this year was so muted this month. The author suggests that India has emerged as a nuclear weapon state but has yet not achieved the parity with the 5 NPT states. The 5 countries belonging to Non-Proliferation Treaty are the USA, Russia, the United Kingdom, China, and France. So these are the 5 NPT countries. And this is what the author suggests, that despite emerging as a nuclear weapon state, India has yet not achieved parity with these 5 countries. Despite the fact that India has yet not achieved parity, the author still highlights certain positive reasons for India to become a part of international nuclear regime. The author says that India has published a draft nuclear doctrine within 5 years of testing, whereas countries such as China and Russia still do not have any such doctrine. It further says the 2005 joint statement on the India US nuclear deal has stated that India occupies a special position as a responsible state with advanced nuclear technology. This backing by the United States improve India's credibility as far as nuclear state is concerned. The author also says that India has maintained a transparent and responsible nuclear capabilities unlike other nuclear weapon states. So these are some of the positives as highlighted by the author with respect to India getting a nuclear status regarding India becoming a part of international nuclear regime. However, the author also suggests that there are certain roadblocks to emergence within the larger nuclear regime. Let us understand those roadblocks. The author says that the world continues to maintain parity between India and Pakistan, with accusing India of initiating a nuclear arms race in the Southern Asia region. Now, this becomes a problematic area for India because the international world sees India and Pakistan at equal level and also accuses India of initiating a nuclear arms race. This does not bode well with the concept of nuclear credibility of India. However, India has maintained a no first use doctrine. The other roadblocks, as per the author, is India's non-signatories is continued as bogey to deter India's accession to the international nuclear regime. Here, the author suggests a future roadmap for further integration of India within the larger nuclear regime. The author says India continues to maintain the position that NPT, that is Non-Proliferation Treaty, is discriminatory in nature and divides the world into two countries, mainly the five NPT countries that can possess nuclear weapons and the rest of the world who cannot possess nuclear weapons. It further says India's membership to Wassenaar Arrangement, Australia Group, and MTCR have augmented India's position towards becoming part of the international nuclear regime. And then it says the Indo-US nuclear deal and subsequent deals with France, Russia, and other countries have shifted India's objective towards nuclear energy rather than nuclear weapons. So, after testing nuclear weapons, our focus has now been to sign deals on ways to utilize nuclear energy. So, this issue of integration of India within the larger nuclear world regime or within the larger nuclear world order becomes extremely important with respect to India's stand on global nuclear world order. This topic comes within a part of GS paper 2 of your UPSC syllabus, specifically under important international institutions, agencies, and their structure and mandate. So in this news, we saw about 11th May as National Technology Day. This was celebrated because of Operation Shakti. Operation Shakti was the day when we tested our nuclear weapons on 11th May 1998. And in this particular, we also saw about, and in this particular article, the author talks about emergence of India as a nuclear weapon state, but yet India not being accepted at par with the other 5 NPT states. And these 5 NPT countries are United States of America, Russia, UK, China, and France. This topic becomes very important with respect to international relations. So this article must be read through a mains perspective, and these 5 NPT countries must be remembered from a prelims point of view, including this National Technology Day. With this, let's move on to the next news. The next news appears on page number 9 in the data point. The news reads, Healthcare disparity. India is ranked 145 among 195 countries in the recently published Healthcare Access and Quality Index. This is based on 32 causes of death considered preventable. So this is important. 32 causes of death considered preventable with effective medical care. According to the report, though India's position has improved over the years, the disparity between different regions in the country is now more pronounced. So we can see the disparity among regions becoming one of the major grounds for a poor report. This also, in a way, makes us understand the real difference between the urban-rural divide in terms of accessibility to proper healthcare system in the country. The report also ranked Bangladesh and Bhutan above India. Now this is another significant point because on certain social parameters we are constantly seeing that Bangladesh is ranked above India. The ranks as per 2016 are China is ranked at 48, Sri Lanka at 71, Bangladesh at 133, Bhutan 134, whereas India at 145. So the only countries below India in our neighborhood are Nepal, Pakistan, and Afghanistan. This report also mentions about 32 causes of death considered preventable with effective medical care. So, certain diseases which can be prevented if there is proper accessibility to a particular and organized healthcare system in the country. Some of the diseases mentioned are appendicitis, breast cancer, cardiovascular and circulatory diseases, cervix and uteri cancer, chronic kidney diseases, chronic respiratory diseases, congenital heart anomalies, diabetes, gallbladder and bile duct disease, skin cancer, tetanus, TB, etc. So these are some of the important diseases out of those 32 diseases which have been mentioned in the report. In this regard, let us also see a survey prepared by the report in terms of how India stands as compared to other countries around the globe. Now this report, as it says, tracking healthcare access and quality in India from 1990 to 2016. And here it reads, the vertical bar, that is this vertical bar, represents the range of healthcare quality index. Values close to 100 reflect the highest levels of personal healthcare access and quality achieved. And this is for India. Here we can see in the year 1990, the position of India was just above 20, which increased further in the year 2000, and now in 2016 it is above 40. Here the value says that value close to 100 reflect the highest level of personal healthcare access. So around 40 we are still far below as compared to 100. So at around 40 there is much space for us to improve in the department of healthcare access in India. Seeing another map, it says mapping healthcare access and quality worldwide in the year 2016. Now you see that over 91.3 has been marked as more bluer, and it goes further. Green is around value of 68.9 to 74.5. Yellow comes to around 44.8 to 54.7 and subsequent, and red under 31. So we can see most of the African countries comes within this red range, whereas mostly the Western countries comes within this blue range, including Russia as well as Australia. And Australia by far seems to be one of the best countries in terms of healthcare access, whereas India comes in this range of light shade of pink, around 35.9 to 44.8, and specifically it says 41.2 for India. So here we can see a comparative analysis in terms of healthcare access with the rest of the world. With this, we can analyze that in terms of healthcare access, the government has much to do to provide proper and a better healthcare access to its people across the country. Now, there is another map which compares the health quality index for India with that of Bangladesh, China, and even Indonesia. Here we can see in the 90s, our healthcare index was 24.7, whereas that of Bangladesh was 17.8, China 42.6, and Indonesia 28.9. So Bangladesh was much below India, whereas comparing in 2016, our index is at 41.2, whereas Bangladesh index is a bit higher at 47.6, whereas China is way ahead at 77.9. So even with respect to Bangladesh and other neighborhood, there is much scope for development in the space of healthcare access. And it is in this regard that the scheme of Ayushman Bharat of the government of India can help to improve India's health quality index. As Ayushman Bharat aims to upgrade the sub-centers including wellness clinics across India, and these clinics will provide proper healthcare including facilities for non-communicable diseases and maternal and child care services. And apart from this, Ayushman Bharat scheme also aims to provide health security to 40% of India's population by providing them a sum of assured rupees 5 lakh per year per family. So with the help of Ayushman Bharat, India aims to improve its ranking status in the health quality index and also aims to provide proper health facilities and access to people living across India, including the rural sectors. So this data point on healthcare disparity shows a true picture of India in terms of healthcare access as compared to not only our neighborhood but also the rest of the world. And it is here that India has much to progress in terms of healthcare facility in the country. So this topic of health access and quality index about India with respect to its surroundings becomes very important to understand from a social context. As far as the syllabus is concerned, it comes within GS paper 2, specifically under welfare schemes for vulnerable sections of this population and also issues relating to development and management of health sector, and also issues pertaining to poverty and hunger. Because if we take care of poverty and hunger and provide them with proper access to food and nutrition, then it also addresses the issue of health, and also a proper healthcare setup across India, including rural sectors, becomes essentially important. So, in this regard, proper implementation of Ayushman Bharat is very important with respect to improved healthcare system in the country. With this, let's move on to the next news. The next news appears on page number 5 as a snippet. In this, it talks about rose-ringed parakeet is official bird of Andhra Pradesh. It says that Andhra Pradesh government has decided to notify rose-ringed parakeet, known as Ramachilikwa, as the state bird. Almost a similar question appeared in the year 2016, where it asked, recently, for the first time in our country, which of the following states has declared a particular butterfly as state butterfly? The options were Arunachal Pradesh, Himachal Pradesh, Karnataka, and Maharashtra. So questions on similar lines can be asked with this rose-ringed parakeet bird, which is now declared as official bird of Andhra Pradesh. The news further reads, the neem is the official tree, the black buck is the official animal, while jasmine is the official flower. So all these detailed information becomes important from your prelims point of view. As we can see, a similar question was asked regarding a state butterfly in the year 2016. Let's find out about this particular state butterfly. In this regard, Maharashtra became the first state to declare blue mormon as the state butterfly. As you can read, the blue mormon is a large swallow-tailed butterfly found primarily in Sri Lanka and India, mainly restricted to the western ghats of Maharashtra, South India, and coastal belts. It says it may occasionally be spotted in the Maharashtrian mainland between Vidarbha and western Maharashtra. This news appeared in the Hindu newspaper, and you can see that straight away a question was asked in the year 2016. So now we know the answer to this particular question is Maharashtra. In this respect, this rose-ringed parakeet bird becomes very important with respect to Andhra Pradesh. As in your prelims examination, it can be covered under general issues on environmental ecology, biodiversity, and climate change. So this small news on rose-ringed parakeet becomes actually important from a prelims point of view. With this, let's move on to the next news. The next news appears on page number 18. The news reads, Contaminants found in food contact items. Firms sourcing black plastics from recycled electrical equipment. Now in this particular news, a study has found that hazardous chemicals such as lead are finding their way into the food contact items and other everyday products because manufacturers are using recycled electrical equipment as a source for black plastic. As you can see, these are some of the used black plastic for foods and other items. And because of use of food and other items in these black plastics, hazardous chemicals are finding their way back into the food contact item. These black plastics constitutes about 15% of domestic waste stream, and this waste material of black plastic is not easily recycled due to low sensitivity of black pigments to near infrared radiation, which is generally used in conventional plastic sorting facilities. So due to the low sensitivity, this black plastic do not easily get recycled, and this is the reason why hazardous chemicals used in these black plastics are finding its way back to the food system. Now this also poses a significant threat to human health as well as to the marine environment. So in this respect, let us understand what are these food contact items or food contact materials. Now these food contact materials are materials that are intended to be in contact with food. These can be things that are quite obvious like a glass, a can for soft drinks, machinery in a food or a factory, or even a coffee vending machine. These food contact materials are constructed from a variety of materials like plastics, rubber, paper, coatings material, use of some of the metals as in the food industry, etc. And food, when it gets in contact with these black plastics, comes within the food chain system. And we also saw different food contact materials such as a soft drink can, coffee vending machine, machinery is used in the food processing industry, glass, etc. So all these pose a threat to both human health as well as marine life. And threat to human health is due to the use of bromine and lead, which are often used in electrical equipment. So with So with regard to e-waste, a question has already been asked in the year 2013. The question read, due to improper and indiscriminate disposal of old and used computers or their parts, which of the following are released into environment as e-waste? This question was particularly asked in the prelims of 2013. The options were beryllium, cadmium, chromium, heptachlor, mercury, lead and plutonium. And there were various options given. So in this, let us understand the use of each of these products. Beryllium is commonly found on motherboard of computers and finger clips. Cadmium is often found in semiconductor chips. Chromium is used as corrosion protector of untreated galvanized steel plates. Mercury is used in electrical and electronic equipments. And lead is used in glass panels as well as printed circuit boards. Whereas heptachlor and plutonium are not e-waste or not utilized in any of the electrical equipments. So the correct answer here was B. That is 1, 2, 3, 5 and 6. So this was the question asked in the year 2013 with respect to e-waste. And this news on page number 18 talks about hazardous chemicals which are finding their way into the food contact items because manufacturers are using recycled electrical equipment as a source of black plastic. So this topic of recycled electrical equipment being used as a source of black plastic becomes equally important. In the UPSC syllabus for prelims, it comes within general issues in environmental ecology as well as climate change. With this, let's move on to the next news. The next news appears on page number 7. The news reads, Rajaraja Chola consort idols recovered from Gujarat. Now, in this news, let us understand certain basic facts about the Chola Empire as well as the Chola architecture. As you can see in this map, the yellow one points to the Chola territory as well as the green one points to the Chola influence. Here you can see that this area pertains to the Chola Empire and their influence extended towards Orissa and also in the Southeast Asia region. As you can see, the Chola dynasty was one of the longest ruling dynasties with earliest datable references as are in inscriptions from 3rd century BC left by Ashoka of the Mauryan Empire. Now we know that temples are the highlights of the Chola architecture. So let's see some of these important aspects. The greatest achievements of the kings of Chola Empire were in the fields of art and architecture. Among those, the temple architecture in South India attained its climax under the Chola empires. The Chola architecture is called Dravida style because it was confined largely to South India. Now this is a very important aspect which says Chola architecture is called the Dravida style. So statement based questions in your prelims examination can be asked. Cholas built many Shiva temples along with the banks of river Kaveri. Another very important aspect that Cholas built temples of Lord Shiva along the river Kaveri. Built in 1009 during the time of King Rajaraja. The beautiful Shiva temple of Thanjavur is the largest and tallest of all Indian temples of its time. The great living Chola temples that have been proclaimed as World Heritage Sites by the UNESCO are Brihadeshwara Temple, the temple of Gangai Konda Choliswaram and Eraveteswara Temple at Darasuram. The Cholas sculpted many bronze figures of Lord Shiva, Lord Vishnu and Goddess Lakshmi. And you could see in the newspaper picture as well, the bronze idol is that of Rajaraja Chola I. Now this article on Chola architecture appeared in the Focus magazine of the July edition of 2017. So let us go through some of the provisions from this magazine itself. It says main features of Chola temples. Stories. The main feature of Chola architecture was the building of story upon story above the chief deity room or the Garbhagriha. Mandap. A pillared hall called Mandap with elaborately carved pillars and a flat roof was generally placed in front of the sanctum, and it acted as an audience hall and was a place for various other activities. It then talks about boundary and entrance. Dravidian temples were surrounded by high boundary walls. The front wall had a high entrance gateway known as Gopuram. This is very important piece of information. Then the crown. The crowning element at the top of the temple was shaped in the form of octagonal cupola known as Shikhar. Then the tower. The shape of the main temple tower is known as Viman. It is like a stepped pyramid that rises up geometrically rather than curving Shikhar in the north. As you can see in this picture, this is the particular Shikhar and Viman of the Dravida style of temples. The Brihadeshwar temple is also called the Rajaraja temple because Cholas were in the habit of installing images of kings and queens in temples. Images of animals. The base walls of Chola temples are decorated with lines of mythical animals called Yazehi. So this Yazehi becomes very important from your prelims examination. It also had water tank. The presence of water tank inside temple enclosure was a unique feature of the Dravidian style of temples. And you can find this water tank in Brihadeshwara temple at Tanjore, also at Gangai Konda Cholapuram temple built by Rajendra I. This temple also had certain economic impact. Some of these temples became so rich that they entered business, lent money, and took part in business enterprises. They also spent money on improving cultivation, digging wells, tanks, etc., and also providing irrigation channels so that agriculture can be expanded. So we saw all the main features about the Chola architecture. Hence, all these points becomes extremely important with respect to UPSC syllabus. This topic comes under GS paper 1, specifically under Indian culture, salient aspects of art forms, literature and architecture. Thus, questions can be asked on the style of Chola architecture as well as some of the important Chola temples in India, which are Brihadeshwara temple, Gangai Konda Choliswaram temple, Eravateswara temple, and also that these Cholas sculpted many bronze figures of Lord Shiva, Lord Vishnu, and Goddess Lakshmi. So these three goddesses becomes extremely important from your UPSC prelims point of view. With this, we come to an end to the discussion of today's newspaper. Subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon for daily DNS updates. With this, let's move on to the question for the day.